the generosity of Jonathan. The following day Joseph, as usual, was up much earlier than anyone else and went outside to see what sort of a day was in the offing. He found all the signs for a beautiful day, then returned into the house and awakened his sons so they might prepare a good breakfast for the guests. The sons soon arose and went to see what provisions the larder might still contain. When they had searched through the larder, they promptly came to Joseph and said, "Listen, dear father, your requests would be easy enough to fulfill, but our larder has been so greatly depleted these last few days that it is just impossible for us to scrape together a meal for even 10 persons. So advise us whence we are to take the foodstuffs, and the meal shall be ready in 1 hour." Here Joseph scratched himself a bit behind the ears, then went into the larder himself, and there found the assertions of his sons confirmed, which disconcerted him all the more. He thought back and forth, but could not think of anything that might help him out of his predicament. Now, as Joseph stood there in the entrance hall considering what to do next, Jonathan came out of his sleeping chamber, greeted and kissed his old friend, and asked him why he stood there so unhappily and thoughtfully, and Joseph promptly showed Jonathan the cause of his perplexity, namely the empty larder. When Jonathan beheld this, he said to Joseph, "Oh, my very dear friend, that need not concern you at all. See, my larders are still quite full. I still have about 2,000 hundredweights of smoked fish. So have your sons come with me right away, and in an hour and a half your larder will be well stocked." This offer acted as a true balm upon Joseph's heart, and he quickly accepted it. Hardly an hour and a half passed when Jonathan and the 4 sons already returned with a heavy load of fish. The sons brought about 400 weights of smoked fish, and Jonathan brought 3 large casks filled with fresh fish and 10 large loaves of wheat bread. When Joseph saw the arrivals thus burdened, he was full of joy and thanked and praised God for such a gift, and then embraced and kissed Jonathan. Thereupon the kitchen soon teemed with activity. The sons busied themselves in a lively manner, while Mary and Eudokia soon came from their sleeping chamber, wasted no time, and milked the cows. Thus a plentiful breakfast was quickly prepared in an hour for more than 100 guests. Chapter 228. The difference between God's true and false servants. When the morning meal was thus prepared, and all the guests had arisen, Joseph promptly went to Cyrenius and asked him if he were ready to partake of the morning meal. And Cyrenius said to Joseph, "Oh, my truly noble friend and brother, I am of course quite ready with my entire company, but I also know that you do not have such a supply in your larder that you can accommodate over 100 people for several days. Therefore I shall send my servants to the city this morning, where they shall buy foodstuffs for me and for you." When Joseph heard this, he replied, "Oh, dear friend and brother, that you can of course do for your ship, but in my case you would go to a lot of trouble for nothing. You see, in the first place the morning meal is already prepared, and secondly, there still is so much left in my larder that all those here could hardly eat it up in 8 days. So do not concern yourself for me of all people, for truly I am indeed well supplied." And Cyrenius affirmed, "Truly, truly, if nothing else were to give me witness of your most high calling, it would be given me in fullest measure by your quite incomprehensible unselfishness. Yes, therein one will always be able to accurately tell the true servants of God from the false. The true ones will be unselfish to a high degree, and the false ones will be just the opposite. For the true ones serve the Lord in their heart, and they also have a most high eternal reward. But the false ones serve a God modeled after their own bad kind for the sake of the world. Hence they also seek the reward of the world, and allow themselves to be paid extravagantly for every step they take. For I, as a born pagan, know best how the Roman priests allow themselves to be paid for each and every step. Truly, I myself once had to pay the chief priest 100 pounds of gold for some advice. I ask, was that a fitting servant of a true God? But you have now shown me your hospitality for 3 days, and what teachings I have received in your house, and still you accept nothing. Not even for my 8 children will you accept anything. From that it certainly should be clear how the real and true servants of God appear. Here Joseph said, Brother, do not say any more about that now, for such talk praises me too much. But sit down at the table, and the morning meal will be served right away. And Cyrenius promptly followed Joseph's wish and sat down at the table. Chapter 229. A memorable morning meal for Cyrenius. When everyone was at the table, quite tastily prepared fish were quickly served. And Cyrenius was greatly surprised that it had been possible for Joseph to obtain such a quantity of quite fresh fish so early in the morning. Hereupon Joseph pointed to the huge Jonathan and remarked somewhat jokingly, See, when one has such a great fishing expert for a friend, one need not reach too far, and the fish are there. At this Cyrenius smiled and agreed. Yes, you are indeed right. Truly, under such circumstances one can always have fresh fish, and that especially if one also has someone in his house. Hereupon Joseph lifted up his hands and fervently stated, Yes, brother Cyrenius, especially someone of whom we all will eternally never be worthy. May he bless this good morning meal for all of us, that it truly may strengthen us in our limbs and in our love to him, the Most Holy. This exclamation of Joseph brought all the guests to tears, and all praised the great God and the still sleeping little child. When the guests were done with their praise and began to eat of the fish, the little child also awakened, and the good smell of the fish immediately told him what was on the table. Hence he quickly got out of his low little bed, promptly ran over to the table, quite naked to where Mary was, and requested something to eat. Here Mary promptly took him on her lap and said to James, Go quickly and bring me a little shirt out of the side room. And James quickly followed Mary's wish and brought a clean little shirt. But this time the little child would not allow the little shirt to be put on him. At this Mary became somewhat impatient and scolded. See, my little child, it just is not proper to be naked at the table. Therefore I shall be quite severe if you do not allow yourself to be dressed. Cyrenius, wholly moved to tears at the sight of the tender little boy, said to Mary, Oh dear, most charming mother, give me the little boy, so I may once more thus quite naked fondle and caress him. Who knows whether this infinitely great good fortune will come my way again in this world? Here the little child smiled at Cyrenius, and immediately wanted to go to him. And Mary promptly gave him over to Cyrenius, and he wept from joy and bliss as the healthy little boy frolicked on his lap in a lively way. Hereupon Cyrenius asked him which piece of the fish he would like to eat, and the little child said in a wholly childlike manner, Give me that white piece which has no fish bone in it. And Cyrenius quickly handed the little child the best and whitest piece, which he ate happily and leisurely. After he had satisfied his hunger, he stated, That was good. Now you dress me, for when I'm hungry I want to eat first, and only then wear a garment. Thereupon the little child said no more, and serenely let Cyrenius dress him with a little shirt.